Welcome to another episode of Racing to Learn. We're a nonprofit that uses RC, amongst other things, to get kids excited about math and science. We've got our Redcat Kaiju 6S capable 8th scale monster truck on the bench today. We've learned some lessons after running it for the first handful of times here. I think we've got 2 or 3 battery packs through this. We ran 4S the first time, and the motor was extremely hot, not to the point of damaging. Hopefully it still works, but we that was through some pretty thick grass at the park too. So we're gonna put one of these coolers that we had laying around on it, as well as some other lessons learned. We've also got parts of our ECX Ruckus on the bench too. We'll walk you through that later on in the episode here, but first, the updates on the Redcat Kaiju. This truck is such a blast to drive. Absolute hoot to drive. So much fun. The wheeling, the handling. It's we've only run it on 4S and 3S. So 3S, it's a little bit more controllable. 4S, it's wheeling on demand, even standing back flips, given the right traction on a surface. But pretty insane. Yeah, just on pavement, it's too much to handle on 4S. You've got to be in dirt or grass, or else you're just gonna be on, or the truck rather is just gonna be on its lid half of the time, meaning its roof. So anyways, we're gonna throw on this castle. This is something that we just had laying around in the garage. This castle cooler, it's got a pretty puny fan on it. You can see that, the diameter of the fan. Nothing close to this hobby wing unit that we've got in terms of size and airflow and cooling power, but for a fan like this, this one's actually too small. This is for a 36 or maybe it's a 40 millimeter motor. Anyways, the one that we had appropriately sized was you've got to take the motor off to slip this on. All right, there's just not room in here. So when we're gonna try this one first, because it doesn't force us to take off the motor. We'll see what the temperatures look like with this cooler on there, and if there's a substantial difference. While we've got the car on the bench, we're gonna use one of these handy dandy program cards to adjust the low voltage cutoff. One of the life hacks that we use around here at Racing to Learn is to set the voltage cutoff essentially as high as it will go, closest to 3.7 volts. It says on this one 3.4 volts, but these ESCs kind of vary by the software that they're running, the firmware. So we set it up to its highest setting. We'll see what that actual voltage is during cutoff by measuring it with a lipo checker, just to see the voltage of the cells when we hit that cutoff. A couple other things we're going to do. It's real nice that they actually provide this wire hold down, but the problem is that the wires are just so close to each other in this truck. They're kind of cramped in there unnaturally, and so I've undone that wiring mount. I'm gonna just let these wires go naturally, so you're not putting undue pressure on the strands of wire in these wires. Say that 10 times fast. It also kind of interfered with the battery pack when we tried to get that in, because everything was just so close together. So we're going to reroute the wires to just naturally sit above the ESC and the motor up here. Another thing that was bothering me was this antenna tube. It comes with this short antenna tube, and then you've got this antenna hanging out that's susceptible to any sort of damage, not to mention just wear and tear, bending and back and forth. So to increase the longevity of that antenna, we're gonna put in a longer antenna, and I'm guessing that they cut it off at that length, so it would fold under the body here, but you could achieve the same goal with just bending that antenna backwards, right, or even forwards in this case, just so that it's out of the way and that wire is actually protected by this tube, this antenna tube. You really don't want to damage these wires on these receivers, because once that wire has been damaged, the range will suffer. Right, this antenna is its length for because it's tuned to a certain frequency, 2.4 gigahertz. Right, so if you trim that top of that antenna or it gets damaged, it's going to adversely affect the range of this radio. And this has been proven with the FlySky radios and transmitters and receivers that these trucks use, that these Redcats use. If you snip off that, or if it gets damaged, it's going to drastically affect the range on the radio, which you don't want to happen. So we'll get that work done. Any other lessons learned on the Redcat? Oh, yeah, one more. We're going to actually get rid of the rear lights on this truck. You can see the wire running around the chassis, right, all the way to the back. And these are the tail lights, right? Kind of nice feature to have on this truck. But, we really actually enjoyed that, especially trying to bash at night. The front LEDs are quite strong. They provide some good lighting. You can see the stockish shackles here, too, purely there for aesthetic effect. But these two LEDs, and it looks like, what are they? Probably 5mm LEDs. Give you actually some really good lighting out in front of the truck. The rear ones are useful just to be able to tell which end of the truck is the front and the back. But if you got light and you see those beams pointing out forward, you're gonna know which direction that truck is going in for the most part. But it always helps having a second point of reference. However, the wire runs along the back of the chassis here, and it actually goes under these hooks that are used to keep the shroud. So this truck actually comes with a shroud, like you would pay $30 from Dusty Motors for. It actually covers all the electronics and motor and stuff like that, keeping leaves and grass and other debris out of the electronics, especially those fans. You don't want that debris getting into these fans because it clogs them up. It causes them to make funny sounds, all that sort of stuff. It decreases the airflow. So it's great that they include that out of the box, but getting the shroud on this has just been extremely difficult. That we haven't been able to get it to stick. So it's been a real pain. And I think the biggest part is because this wire is usually tucked under the shroud hooks there at the corners, at these two corners at least. So it's kind of dual fold. We're gonna remove the rear lights to not only allow us to run the new Castle fan here directly to where those rear lights were being powered, but also we're going to essentially be able to try that shroud again, right? After we remove that wire, and we'll see if we can get that shroud to stick without this wire being tucked in there and getting in the way. Another noticeable change you'll see is that we've decided to swap this over to an EC5 connector, right? Given the fact that all of our batteries are now EC5s. Big shout out to Razor RC for helping us solder on these connections. They're a pain, these, at least for me, and I'm just not good at doing large wire soldering into battery connectors. I think this is like what is this? This is 10 gauge wire, some pretty thick stuff here. So Razor helped us swap over our batteries. Our Venom batteries are now on EC5s as well as this truck. Before it came with T-type or Dean's connectors, Dean's type connectors, not genuine Dean's. But it was just too crowded in here with two Dean's connectors and that serial connection that they were running through. So we got rid of all that excess wiring. We're just running a single EC5 connector now. It's capable of 100 amps. And we have a Y adapter, so if we do want to run dual packs, we could always hook up that Y. But as for now, 3S has been kind of the sweet spot for this truck. 4S, when you want to do wheelies and whatnot, we're not going to do any aerial tricks and flips and stuff of that sort. For the time being, not ruling that completely out, but we've seen a lot of breakages resulting from 6S. The outdrives on this truck are have been prone to failure. Realize that again, this is a V1 truck, meaning it was just released here. So, Redcat is receptive to user feedback. So hopefully we get some hardened outdrives out, or they improve the heat treating on those differential outdrives so that they don't crack. One of the workarounds has been to use, I believe, is a 12 by 18 by 4 bearing, and kind of tapping that onto the outside of that outdrive. So we might do that as a preventative measure whenever we get this truck apart. But for the time being, we're not going to run anything beyond 3S or 4S, I should say. So we should be good there. What else? I think that is probably it. So we're going to reroute the wiring for this, make it cleaner, hopefully be able to put on that shroud. We'll save the work on the ECX Ruckus for the next episode. But if you want to see any of the videos on both of these trucks or any of our other trucks, look at the video description. We've got links out to the playlist for our most popular trucks. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if we've earned it. Hit that notification bell. Every bit helps us over here. And thanks again for watching. We'll catch you next time.